Touch that.
A violent outlaw gang known as the Cowboys, led by Curly Bill Brocius, rides into a Mexican police officer's wedding. They're there to avenge 2 of their members recently killed by Mexican authorities. Brocius throws the red sashes belonging to the slain cowboys onto the ground. Then the gang opens fire on everyone at the ceremony, sparing only the priest, the groom, and the bride. When the groom refuses to kneel, they shoot him in the knee, after which Brocius kills him. Another gang member drags the bride inside the church and executes her. Johnny Ringo then guns down the priest and clarifies for Brocius the biblical passage the priest had recited from Revelation about a pale horse whose rider is death, with hell following close behind. Meanwhile, the famous retired lawman Wyatt Earp arrives at a train station in Tucson. While tending to his horse, U.S. Marshal Crawley Dake and his associate greet him, hoping to speak with him. Wyatt, however, brushes them off, implying he is already burdened by the consequences of his past. After they leave, Wyatt's brothers, Virgil and Morgan, along with their wives, warmly welcome him. The 3 men look forward to starting fresh, finally living a peaceful life, free from law enforcement duties. Elsewhere, Doc Holliday, a charming but tuberculosis-stricken gambler and gunfighter, is playing poker with his girlfriend Kate by his side. While Doc keeps winning, one of the losing players becomes furious and tries to goad him into a fight, mocking his illness. Unfazed, Doc places his pistols on the table, and when the man attempts to strike him, Doc stabs him first. With onlookers stunned, Doc lays the wounded man on a table as Kate gathers up their winnings. Before leaving, Doc also scoops up some leftover money from another table. Meanwhile, Wyatt, along with his brothers and their wives, arrives in Tombstone, lured by its booming silver mines and economic opportunities. The county sheriff, John Behan, greets them and introduces himself, knowing Wyatt is new to town. Seeing they have no accommodation, Behan offers them 3 cottages and promises to have them cleaned at no charge, which Wyatt gratefully accepts. Soon after, the Earp party meets the town marshal, Fred White, who points out that Behan holds no real authority and that the true power in the area lies with the Cowboys. He notes 3 of them currently in town. Wyatt then heads to the Oriental Saloon, ordering a cigar and introducing himself to the skeptical owner. At the faro table, Johnny Tyler is causing a commotion, cursing, threatening customers, and throwing a tantrum. When Wyatt confronts him, Tyler tries to intimidate him, but Wyatt repeatedly slaps him and tosses him out. Impressed, the owner agrees to a deal with Wyatt, granting him a 25% stake in the business. Later, as the Earp brothers are walking through town, Tyler attempts to ambush Wyatt with a shotgun. However, Doc suddenly appears and calls out to Tyler, who is startled to learn that his target is the renowned Wyatt Earp. Frightened, Tyler lowers his weapon and leaves. Afterward, the Earps discuss Wyatt's idea for a racetrack with Sheriff Behan. Suddenly, gunshots ring out as 2 men are shot. The shooters turn out to be old friends of the Earps, Jack Johnson and Jack Vermillion, and the town marshal quickly confiscates their guns. Later, Josephine Marcus and Fabian step down from a carriage, and she and Wyatt lock eyes for a brief, meaningful moment. That evening, the Earp brothers and their wives attend a theater performance. When the mayor tries to introduce himself, Wyatt rudely brushes him off. Among the audience are the Cowboys, including their leader, Brocius. One of the Cowboys recklessly fires his gun, even near a performer, while Wyatt finds himself captivated by Josephine's beauty. As the performance ends on a high note, the Cowboys celebrate by firing their guns into the ceiling. After the performance, everyone gathers at the Oriental Saloon, where Wyatt is dealing at the faro table. Taking a break, he chats with Doc and insists that he's changed. He's now a dedicated husband. When Josephine arrives and greets him, Wyatt, to Doc's surprise, ignores her. Returning to the game, Wyatt soon faces Brocius and Johnny, who try to intimidate him and Doc. Wyatt discreetly grips a gun beneath the table. As the tension mounts, Johnny shows off a flashy gun-twirling trick, attempting to unnerve Doc, who responds by playfully spinning a drinking cup. Amused, they all share a laugh, and Brocius buys everyone a round of drinks. Even so, it's clear Josephine has taken an interest in Wyatt, and the feeling is mutual. The next day, Wyatt and Josephine cross paths again while riding horses. It's mating season, and their horses are naturally drawn to each other. Josephine suggests they have a race, and afterward, they rest and talk about their lives and the pursuit of happiness. That evening, Wyatt returns home to find his wife absorbed in laudanum, a common opiate mixture of the era. He tries to share his thoughts about seeking happiness, something he discussed with Josephine, but his wife neither understands nor shows interest. She responds with forced laughter, highlighting the growing distance between them. The following night, a heavily intoxicated Brocius, under the influence of opium, begins firing shots wildly in the street. County Sheriff Behan presses Town Marshal White to take action, insisting it's not his jurisdiction. As Marshal White attempts to disarm Brocius, Brocius's gun accidentally discharges, fatally wounding the marshal. Wyatt steps in, knocking Brocius down. As Wyatt restrains Brocius, the outlaws' men surround them, but Wyatt aims his gun at one of them, Clanton, just as Doc and his brothers arrive. Faced with this show of force, the cowboys back off, threatening to settle the score later. The next day, while playing pool, the Earp brothers learn that Brocius has been released, as there were no witnesses to testify against him. Wyatt dismisses it, claiming it's not his concern. The brothers focus on launching their own business. The mayor appears and requests their help against the lawlessness, noting that while they profit handsomely, many decent townsfolk are suffering. Feeling sympathy for the townspeople, Virgil accepts the job of town marshal and promptly enacts a strict new rule. No one may carry firearms within city limits, and all weapons must be checked at the outskirts. When Wyatt arrives, he confronts his brothers over their decision. He argues they shouldn't involve themselves. That night, Doc is winning at poker against Ike. Furious and suspecting he's been cheated, Ike starts causing a scene. Suddenly, Doc collapses, coughing up blood. Seizing the moment, Ike asks for his gun to shoot the Earp brothers, but Virgil knocks him out and hauls him off to jail. The next morning, the cowboys bail Ike out. As they leave, one bumps into Wyatt, and though Wyatt politely apologizes, the cowboy responds with a threat. Wyatt quickly disarms him by striking him with his own gun. Angered, the cowboys warn the Earp brothers that there will be a fight before the day is over. Later, the cowboys ride into town fully armed. The Earp brothers, joined by Doc, move to confront them at the OK Corral. They demand the cowboys surrender their weapons, announcing their intention to place them under arrest. Instead of complying, the cowboys resist, sparking a violent shootout. The lawmen manage to kill several of the outlaws, but Virgil and Morgan are wounded. Ike manages to escape. When Marshal Behan attempts to arrest the Earps afterward, Wyatt's show of force quickly sends him retreating. That night, during a fierce lightning storm, the cowboys launch another ambush. They attack Virgil first, leaving him wounded and forcing him to collapse before his brothers. After this assault, and an incident where the cowboys threaten the brothers' wives, one of the outlaws, Sherman McMasters, Johnson, and Vermillion, decide to switch sides. Rejecting the cowboys by discarding his red sashes, he pledged their support to Wyatt. Not long after, Morgan is ambushed while playing pool. The cowboys shoot him through a glass door, delivering a fatal wound. Realizing it's best for everyone's safety, Wyatt, Doc, Virgil, and their wives decide to leave town. However, as they board a train, the cowboys strike again. Wyatt turns the tables, shooting one of them from behind. Showing his U.S. Marshal's badge to Ike, Wyatt orders him to run back to Tombstone with a warning that they're coming after every last cowboy. Wyatt, Doc, and their allies return to Tombstone, determined to eliminate the gang. They methodically track down and kill numerous cowboys, some by gunfire, others by hanging. In the end, Wyatt confronts Brocius himself and kills him with a shotgun blast. Later on, one of the cowboys delivers a man, tied behind a horse, to Wyatt with a message. Ringo wants a one-on-one duel with Wyatt at Silver Spring Canyon at 7 o'clock. Although Wyatt agrees, both he and Doc know Ringo is the quicker draw. When Ringo arrives at the meeting spot, he expects to fight Wyatt but is met by Doc instead. Although he's not pleased, Ringo agrees to the duel. In a swift exchange, Doc shoots Ringo in the head, killing him instantly. Wyatt arrives moments later to find the deed done, and Doc leaves Wyatt's marshal badge on Ringo's chest. Afterward, Wyatt, Doc, and their allies hunt down the remaining cowboys, killing them one by one. Once the threat is eliminated, they leave Arizona and go their separate ways. Virgil moves on to California, where he becomes sheriff of a small town. Doc, his health failing, spends his remaining days in hospital, where Wyatt visits him frequently. As for Wyatt, he settles down with Josephine, living out the rest of his life in peace. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.